Hi and welcome. Today I want to do a comparison between the Workhorse FC12 and the FC13 to help you decide which one is right for you. Now both of these have the SFT40 in here, and you can just barely sort of see it, but it's in there, the same LED but different host, and they have very different lights, and depending on what you're using it for, it's going to be an important video for you to watch. I'm going to help you just go through the differences and go through my recommendations at the end. So what's included with both of these lights? Obviously the light itself. You also get a charging cable that connects to the side of the flashlight, and it's just a USB-C charging cable. You've got the cell, the Workhorse cell in there. It's an 18650 Workhorse cell, 3000 milliamp hour cell. It's great having that battery included, so you don't have to go and buy one yourself. And you also get a lanyard, and you also get a few spare O-rings, but that's pretty much it. So design and build quality, I mean, just having a look at both of these lights, look how different they are. The FC12 has more of this tactical style design. So, I actually prefer tactical lights these days when I'm taking one out, or you're just carrying along with me. Being able to access that turbo really quickly with just a flick, just a half press of that button, it's just so useful. And this one as well allows you to access moonlight mode. I'll go through that in a little bit, but here on the Workhorse FC13, you've basically got just one soft switch here that you use to activate the flashlight. You've got a soft switch as well, side switch on the FC12, but yeah, you basically got that end switch to turn it on. Then you can activate all the different modes from there, or just use it to activate that turbo mode. Build quality, they're both pretty good. Now, the Workhorse FC12, I do find it to have more of a shiny and slippery kind of finish to it. Definitely more slippery than the FC13, which has kind of a balance. I mean, it's not matte black, but it's in between matte black and that sort of sleek, shiny sort of look. Whereas this one here, I feel like my hands get a little bit sweaty on it. There's some of this knurling on it that definitely helps. But this one here, you got a little bit of knurling, but the anodizing is not as slippery. In terms of the size, well, this one's a lot longer, but it's thinner. So I find that when I'm carrying them both around, this one is less noticeable, just because it doesn't feel like there's much in the pocket. The FC13, also not a big deal. It's a very small EDC light to carry around. But again, if I'm comparing them both, this one definitely feels a little bit easier, and I don't notice it as much in my pocket. There's all these cutouts, some interesting cutouts on both the flashlights, but apart from that, there's not really too much differences. You've got a not double edged, but double-sided clip on both of them as well, so you can clip it onto your hat and also clip it into your pocket and not have to sort of flip the clip back and forth. You're able to access everything inside the light source. You can unscrew the bezel, take a look inside. And it's a little bit harder with the FC13 because you're going to have to need to unscrew this orange part of the bezel with some pliers or some kind of tool to wrench it, to unscrew it or wrench it open. I'm not sure if there's actually glue in there. However, I'm not sure how to actually access the LED for this one. I'm going to have to actually wrench that out through something, I don't know, a bit of rubber or some type of wrench, because again, it's like sealed. There's a bit of glue underneath that bezel. As I said, they both take the same battery, so they charge at 2.4 amps, that 18650. I actually charge my batteries outside most of these flashlights these days because I have my own separate charger. And yeah, as I said, size difference. This one's a little bit. You can see the bezel is a little bit larger. The FC13, you got about a 25 millimeter bezel. FC12, 22 millimeter bezel. And you'd think just a small difference like that wouldn't look significant, but it actually does. It makes quite a difference. So let's go on and let's talk a little bit about the LED now. So basically it's the same LED on both of them. I don't know what bin they are, but they do appear to be pretty much the same color and a similar brightness as well, just doing some ceiling bounce tests. The lens is just a usual The lens is just a usual AR anti-reflective lens, and bezels, got a larger bezel on this one, but they're not too different from each other. You've got the soft switch and some cutouts on them. The reflector, that's where the big difference comes in. You've got a deeper and smooth reflector on the FC12, whereas on the FC13 you have an orange peel and more of a shallow reflector. The FC12 throws much further, but you find that the beam just doesn't look as nice. So the FC13 with the same LED, find that the hotspot's pretty strong, but at the same time, it blends a bit more into the rest of the beam, into the flood. You get ringiness as well from the FC12, so the beam doesn't look so nice. Very usable, and for me, I didn't really notice it until I put it next to a few other flashlights. So the big difference as well with both these lights is that the UIs are really just night and day. You've got the FC12 that has a very simplified UI. I mean, you've got the tactical switch there. You can switch the light on, and then you can just press and hold that soft switch to ramp the light on and off. Double click to access turbo, triple click to access strobe. Okay, turn it off, and click and hold to ramp up and down. You can also change the ramp option, so you can go 1, 2, 3, 4, and that just changes to step ramp. So I can click and hold. So what I can do once it's in step ramp mode, I just click, and the flashlight will go to the different step ramp options. If I want to go back to smooth ramp, I can just click 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, flashes twice, and then I can click and hold that side switch to ramp to whatever, to pretty much whatever I want. So if I click and I hold all the way to the top of the ramp, that's the turbo mode. So that's how you switch off that light and then pretty much access that turbo mode from the half press of that momentary switch at the back. So I think that's a really good little feature. Simple UI, not much to learn. Whereas with the FC13, you got the Anzurel 2 firmware. I made a separate video on the FC13 that you can check out and have a look at it. But there's all kinds of things. I mean, you can change the auxiliary light. You can change the, let me show you. I mean, for example, you've got the same sort of stuff as before, ramping, changing it from step ramping to smooth ramping. But you got things like battery check. You can actually check the battery voltage by clicking 3 times while the flashlight's off. So 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3, 4.1 volts. That's how you read it. 1, 2, 3, 4.1. Good little feature. Not just that, there's other ones as well. You can click into it and go to like 1, 2, 3. Hold that last one. 1, 2, 3. And you can access little special modes like candle light mode. It's kind of hard to see, but it imitates the light from a candle. Different strobe modes. This is a bike strobe mode, so it kind of keeps, it's quite interesting, it keeps the beam on, but then it has the flasher as well that just runs at the same time. So it almost looks like the light doesn't switch off, but it does momentarily to activate the strobe. Double click again, and you can change, and you can get this like variable frequency strobe. You click and hold to change the frequency of the strobe. So really quite interesting. There's little ways as well that you can modify the brightness so that you can change how low it is when it switches on and how high it is when you ramp it up to the highest and ramp down to the lowest mode. You can change the temperature to when the light steps down. So really a lot of different features, apart from this auxiliary light as well, that you can change all the different colors and program it so that you have it to display the voltage. So definitely, look, there's a lot going on with this one. It seems like it'd take you a long time to learn, but for most people, you're not really going to get into all those other features, and you can just use it just like the FC12. Turn the light on, click and hold to ramp, click and hold down to ramp. If you want to access the high mode real quickly, double tap, goes to high, double tap again, and then you get turbo. Another way to access turbo, click twice but hold on the second click. So click and click hold, so then you get turbo like that. So in terms of overall output, both of these lights are rated at 2000 lumens, but I don't think they will actually provide 2000 lumens. I've seen a few other measurements as well in the past, and that's due to the internal resistance of the flashlight. The battery, you have to use a battery that has low internal resistance. One that Workhorse provides is pretty good, but if you want to get the maximum output from this light, yeah, you're going to need to buy, I'm not sure what it is, one of those high draw Samsung cells that I hear people talk about. I just can't remember the name of the model. The FC12 throws further than the FC13, and that's just due to the reflector. I mean, even though it's a smaller reflector, it's deeper, and it's also a smooth reflector. The FC13 still has a really good hotspot and is tending towards being a throwy flashlight, though I'll probably consider it as, a good balance between throw and flood. I think because the FC13 is shorter, Workhorse have made the right decision to put in an orange peel reflector to just help that beam look a bit more diffused. Sometimes with these sort of throwier LEDs, if you've got a shorter sort of reflector in there, you end up with the donut hole in them. So yeah, no weird artifacts or anything like that with this flashlight. In terms of longevity, they're both going to give you pretty similar run times, about 2.5 hours. Practicality wise, carry them around your pocket. I think they're both great. But if you want something that's more, I guess, to use around the house, or something that's a bit more subdued, probably the FC13 would be easier, and the beam just a bit more easy on the eyes, just because it's more diffused. You don't get too much of a hot spot. I find this one's just, especially if you've got it on turbo, there's no way you can use it up close. I mean, I probably wouldn't use this one on turbo in the house as well, but going outside, things like that, definitely gives you a bit more flood and a bit more of a balanced beam profile. So the choice is yours. You can prioritize, throw, or you can have something that's balanced, still has throw, but also has more flood and a more kind of pleasing beam to look at altogether. So I hope that this video has been helpful for you. Let me know if you have any questions that I didn't cover in the video. I'll get back to you in the comments. If you found the video helpful and you like some other videos, you like this one, do me a favor and click the like button. It doesn't cost you anything, and it helps me to get my videos out to more people and share some great reviews. Also, if you want to see me make more reviews, more better quality content as well, make sure you subscribe to my channel. That really helps me out. Thanks for watching. So let's start off with the FC12 on the left. Decent throw. Spill is somewhat limited, but still decent enough spill. Just activate the FC13 now, and get a good amount of spill there. But I would say the FC12 outthrows it, definitely outthrows it, and that's due to the deeper reflector, smooth reflector as well. Not to say that the 13 isn't good, but definitely keeps up. But the FC12 just has that slight edge due to the reflector. Also, the one thing I'm finding is that the beam, the hot spot of the FC13 here, is a lot more diffused, blends into the spill, whereas this one, it kind of is a bit ringy, the FC12. Yeah? You can see the beam profiles of them. 12, FC12, FC13, FC12,